It was a little after 8 that night. The parking lot of a convenience store near the highway in Bellhaven was deserted. Maya Williams had just slipped her key into the door lock of her SUV when she was stopped. "Freeze. Step away from the vehicle." Maya stopped and turned around. Sergeant Cole Maddox strode toward her with his chin raised. Behind him, Officer Eli Turner stood guard beside the patrol cruiser. "Your vehicle is connected to a property theft that just occurred," Maddox growled. "Open it." Maya did not argue. She opened the vehicle. Turner immediately pointed to the side. "Turn around and face the other way." Maya turned. Maddox leaned halfway into the front passenger seat and quickly planted a sealed bag containing an expensive watch in the gap beside the seat. Turner saw everything, but remained silent. A second later, Maddox pulled out the bag and gave a cold smile. "Stolen property with a matching serial number. You're finished. Log it and seal it according to procedure," Maya replied, her voice icy. Maddox paused at her calm response. He rifled through the glove compartment and pulled out a bank envelope containing $5,000 in cash. The theft was immediately forgotten. He pulled out his handcuffs and slammed them against the side of the SUV, producing a sharp, metallic clang. "Hand over the $5,000. You walk. This money won't be in the report." Maya stared directly at him. "Tonight, I make the rules." Maddox turned toward Turner. "Turn off your body camera." Turner hesitated for a beat before pressing the button. The indicator light went dark. Maddox returned the cuffs to his belt. "Give me the money and get out of this town. Otherwise, your SUV gets impounded. The watch goes into the case file, and you go to jail." Maya took the envelope, checked it, and handed it back. Maddox counted all $5,000 and slipped the money inside his jacket. "A transaction without a receipt," Maya said with a faint smirk. "That's the price of buying your freedom." Maddox moved closer and placed a hand on his baton. "Out-of-towners who come here had better listen to people in authority. When a way out opens, take it and keep going. Don't look back." A lot of people followed that advice and then disappeared. Maddox stopped, his expression changing. "Say that again." Maya did not respond. She got straight into the SUV and slammed the door. Maddox stood there glaring resentfully before returning to the patrol cruiser and driving away. Inside the SUV, Maya looked up at the small dash camera mounted behind the rearview mirror. The recording light was still on. She waited until the cruiser disappeared before touching anything. Then she locked the doors and replayed the last few minutes. The camera angle did not show Maddox planting the watch clearly, but the audio was clean. His demand for the $5,000 had been recorded. So had his threat to impound the SUV, put the watch into the case file, and send her to jail. Turner's hesitation before shutting off his body camera was also audible. Maya watched the recording twice. She did not call anyone. She did not upload the video. She saved a copy and then created another backup. When she finished, she looked toward the highway. Maddox had ordered her to leave Bellhaven and not look back. Instead, Maya started the engine and remained where she was for several seconds. Something about the encounter bothered her beyond the money. Maddox had been too comfortable. He had planted the watch without hesitation. He had ordered Turner to shut off his camera as if it were routine. He had known exactly what threat to make and exactly how far he could push before creating a record. Most of all, he had expected Maya to leave. She pulled out of the parking lot but did not take the highway ramp. Instead, she drove toward the motel district a few miles away, where several gas stations and late-night businesses remained open. Less than an hour later, she saw the same patrol cruiser again. Maya slowed and turned into the far end of a motel parking lot. Maddox had stopped another vehicle near the curb. The driver appeared to be traveling alone. Maya stayed far enough away that she could not hear the conversation. She could see Turner standing near the rear of the cruiser while Maddox spoke to the driver. Then Turner raised a hand toward his chest. A moment later, the light on his body camera disappeared. Maya's expression tightened. Several minutes passed. No ticket was written. No one was arrested. The driver returned to the vehicle and left. Maddox and Turner remained behind. Maya checked the time and entered it into her phone, along with the cruiser number and location. Then Maddox looked across the lot. His eyes stopped on her SUV. Maya knew immediately that he had recognized it. Maddox got into the patrol cruiser. Maya pulled onto the street. The cruiser followed. She drove at the speed limit and made the first right turn. The cruiser made the same turn. At the next intersection, Maya went left. Maddox followed again. Turner looked over at him. Why are we following her? Because she was told to leave. She's not doing anything. Maddox kept his eyes on the SUV ahead. She should have been halfway out of Bellhaven by now. Maya entered a commercial area with brighter lighting and several businesses still open. She stopped at a red light. The patrol cruiser stopped behind her. Maddox stared at the back of the SUV. Then his attention shifted upward. Mounted behind Maya's rearview mirror was the small dash camera. For the first time that night, Maddox looked uncertain. The traffic light changed. Maya continued straight. Maddox remained stopped for another second before turning sharply into an empty parking lot. He put the cruiser in park and looked at Turner. Was that camera there when we stopped her? Turner did not answer. Maddox leaned closer. I asked you a question. Turner looked through the windshield. Yeah. Maddox's jaw tightened. Was it running? I don't know. You saw it. I saw a camera. I didn't check the light. Maddox looked back toward the road, but Maya's SUV was already gone. The $5,000 inside his jacket no longer mattered. What's her name? He asked. Williams. Maddox started the cruiser again. Turner glanced at him. Where are we going? Maddox pulled back onto the street. To find Maya Williams. Maddox drove without speaking for several minutes. Turner sat beside him, looking straight ahead as the cruiser moved through the quieter streets of Bellhaven. Maddox finally reached for the mobile terminal mounted between the seats. Run the plate again. Turner glanced at him. We already know her name. I didn't ask for her name. Turner entered the plate number. Maya Williams appeared on the screen along with the registration for the SUV and a temporary Bellhaven address. Maddox leaned closer. Opened the full record. Turner selected the next field. A message appeared. Access restricted. Maddox frowned. Try again. Turner did. The same message appeared. Restricted by who? It doesn't say. Maddox took over the keyboard and entered his own credentials. The system accepted the login, but the protected section remained unavailable. Access restricted. Turner watched him. Maybe you should leave it alone. Maddox slowly turned his head. Why? Because you have her money. She left the scene. Nothing happened. Maddox stared at him. Nothing happened? Turner immediately knew he had chosen the wrong words. Maddox tapped the screen with one finger. She has a camera that may have recorded everything. She stayed in town after I told her to leave. Then she followed us to another stop. She didn't follow us. We happened to see her. Don't start doing that. Doing what? Pretending you weren't there. Turner went quiet. Maddox looked back at the terminal. A normal traveler would be on the interstate right now. Williams is still here, watching. He closed the record. That means she wants something. Turner shifted in his seat. Maybe she wants her $5,000 back. Maddox gave him a cold look. Then, she would have called somebody. The cruiser continued toward the temporary address listed under Maya's vehicle registration. Across town, Maya had already reached the small furnished apartment she had rented near downtown Bellhaven. She entered, locked the door, and placed her keys on the kitchen counter. The navy coat she had worn earlier came off and went over the back of a chair. She carried the dash camera inside with her and set it beside her laptop. She did not turn on the television or call anyone. Instead, she opened the video file again. The recording from the convenience store was clear enough to establish several important facts. Maddox had demanded $5,000. He had directly tied the payment to avoiding arrest. He had described what would happen if she refused. Turner's body camera had been switched off during the encounter. What the video did not show clearly was the moment the watch entered the SUV. Maya replayed that section more slowly. Maddox's body blocked most of the camera's view. The reflection in the passenger window showed movement, but not enough to identify the object in his hand. She stopped the video. The audio was strong. The image was incomplete. That mattered. Maya created another backup and stored it separately from the laptop. Then she wrote down the exact time of the first stop. The location, Maddox's badge number, Turner's name, the cruiser number, and the time she later saw them stop the second driver. She worked without rushing. At the bottom of the page, she wrote one sentence. No citation. No arrest. No record. She looked at it for several seconds. The second stop had ended the same way. That was what concerned her now. A knock sounded at the apartment door. Maya looked up. She did not move immediately. Another knock followed. Firm. Controlled. She walked to the door but did not open it. Who is it? Bellhaven Police. Maddox. Maya remained still. What do you need? Sergeant. There was a pause on the other side. So you remember my name. You introduced yourself. Maddox tried the handle once. It was locked. We need to clear up something from earlier. Then tell me what it is. I'd rather speak face to face. I wouldn't. Turner stood several feet behind Maddox in the hallway. His expression showed that he did not want to be there. Maddox lowered his voice. We have reason to believe your vehicle camera may contain material related to an active investigation. Maya almost smiled. Which investigation? The theft. The theft involving the watch? Maddox did not answer. Maya continued. The watch you decided not to put into a report? Turner looked at Maddox. Maddox's jaw tightened. We're asking for the recording. Do you have a warrant? No. Then you're not getting it. Maddox stepped closer to the door. You're making this more difficult than it needs to be. No, Sergeant. I'm asking you to make it official. The hallway went quiet. That was the one thing Maddox could not easily do. An official request would require a reason. A reason would create paperwork. Paperwork would establish that a traffic or investigative contact had taken place. It would also raise questions about why no report from the original stop existed. Maya waited. Anything else? She asked. Maddox looked at Turner. Turner did not speak. Maddox finally said, You should be careful about interfering with police work. Maya answered calmly. And you should be careful about calling something police work after making sure there's no record of it. If you feel for Maya after Maddox extorted $5,000 from her, threatened her with arrest, and came to her door for the evidence, please like this video. Tell us in the comments where you are watching from, your city, state, or country, because someone near you may be watching Maya's story right alongside you. And subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the next powerful story. Turner's eyes shifted toward Maddox again. Maddox stepped back from the door. We'll talk again. I'm sure we will. Maddox walked toward the stairwell. Turner followed. Neither said anything until they were back outside. As soon as they reached the cruiser, Turner stopped. What are we doing? Maddox opened the driver's door. Finding out what she has. You asked for her video without a warrant. I know what I asked. And if she complains? Maddox turned around. To who? Turner stared at him. Maddox continued. There is no report from tonight. No citation, no arrest, no property logged. As far as the department is concerned, nothing happened. Turner looked toward the apartment building. She has the recording. Maybe. You heard her. She knows exactly what she has. Maddox stepped closer. Then we find out where she put it. Turner lowered his voice. And then what? Maddox did not answer the question. He got into the cruiser. Inside the apartment, Maya watched the patrol car leave from behind the blinds. She waited until its lights disappeared at the end of the block. Then she returned to the kitchen table, opened her laptop, and began searching Bellhaven's public complaint records. The first few entries showed nothing unusual. Then, she found one involving Sergeant Cole Maddox. She opened it. A second report carried his name. Then, a third. In two of them, Officer Eli Turner appeared beside him. Maya leaned back slightly and looked at the screen. The $5,000 was no longer the only reason she was still in Bellhaven. Maya opened the first complaint and read it carefully. The report came from a salesman passing through Bellhaven who claimed that cash had disappeared from his wallet during a roadside search. No citation had been issued, no property had been logged, and no arrest had been made. Sergeant Cole Maddox had written that the interaction was a routine traffic contact and that the driver had left voluntarily. The complaint had been closed for lack of supporting evidence. Maya opened the second file. A woman staying at a motel near the interstate had reported that an officer threatened to have her rental car towed unless she paid what he called an immediate administrative fee. She had no receipt. The department found no record of any fee being collected. Maddox's report again described the incident as a verbal warning. Officer Eli Turner was listed as the assisting officer. Maya moved to the third complaint. Different person, different location, same, basic structure. A traveler was stopped. A minor problem was raised. Money became part of the conversation. No citation followed. No arrest followed. The official record contained almost nothing. Maya checked the dates. The complaints were spread out enough to avoid drawing attention, but several involved the same highway corridor and the same patrol unit. She wrote the locations on a sheet of paper and circled the places that appeared more than once. The motel district, 2 gas stations, the convenience store where Maddox had stopped her. She looked at the clock and closed the laptop. It was late, but the pattern was already clear enough to justify another look at the places involved. Maya put on her navy coat, took her keys, and returned to the SUV. Bellhaven had quieted by then. Traffic near the interstate had thinned, and most of the businesses along the service road were either closed or preparing to close. Maya drove without rushing. She passed the convenience store first, then continued toward the motel strip where she had seen Maddox stop another driver earlier. She parked near a 24-hour gas station and stayed in the SUV. A few minutes later, a patrol cruiser appeared at the far end of the road. Maya recognized the unit, Maddox and Turner. The cruiser did not stop near her. It continued past the gas station and turned into the parking lot of a budget motel. Maya waited before following. By the time she reached the motel entrance, Maddox had already stopped a sedan near the far curb. The driver stood beside the vehicle, while Turner remained several feet away. Maya parked where she could see without drawing attention. Maddox spoke to the driver for less than a minute before opening the rear passenger door of the sedan. Turner looked around the lot, then touched his body camera. The indicator light went dark. Maya checked the time. She entered it into her phone. The driver appeared confused, but he did not argue. Maddox continued speaking while Turner stood near the rear of the vehicle. Several minutes passed. No ticket book appeared. No one was placed under arrest. Then the driver reached into the car, removed something from the center console, and handed it to Maddox. Maya could not see what it was. Maddox turned partly away, blocking the exchange from anyone standing near the motel entrance. A moment later, he stepped back. The driver got into the sedan and left. Turner turned his body camera on again. Maya looked at the time. The gap had lasted several minutes. She saved the location and unit number. Then she saw Maddox look across the parking lot. His attention stopped on her SUV. Maya started the engine. The cruiser moved almost immediately. She pulled onto the service road and headed toward downtown. Maddox followed. There were no flashing lights and no siren. He stayed several car lengths behind her, matching every turn. Turner looked over at him. "You planning to stop her again?" "No." "Then, why are we following her?" Maddox kept his eyes on the SUV. "Because she's watching us." Turner leaned back. "Maybe because we went to her apartment. She was watching before that." Maddox followed Maya through another intersection. Turner lowered his voice. "You already have her money. Let it go." Maddox looked at him briefly. "You think this is about the money now?" Turner said nothing. Ahead, Maya turned into a brightly lit shopping center where several businesses were still open. Maddox slowed. Following her any farther would become difficult to explain if someone noticed the cruiser circling the same vehicle without making a lawful stop. Maya parked near a pharmacy entrance. The patrol cruiser passed behind her. Maddox looked toward the windshield of her SUV. The dash camera was clearly visible. His expression tightened. Turner noticed. "You knew she had one." "I knew there was a camera. I didn't know what it caught. You told me it didn't matter." "It didn't matter when I thought she was leaving." Maddox drove out of the shopping center and pulled into a side street. He stopped the cruiser. Turner looked at him. "Now what?" Maddox took out his phone and opened the photo he had saved from Maya's vehicle registration. "Maya Williams," he said quietly. Turner watched him. Maddox searched the name again, trying a different internal database. A basic record appeared, but when he attempted to open the employment section, the system denied access. He tried another route. The same result appeared. Turner frowned. "That happen often?" "No." "Maybe there's a reason." Maddox stared at the screen. Everybody has a reason for something. He tried a third time. Access remained restricted. Turner shifted in his seat. "Cole, this is getting worse." Maddox turned toward him. "Don't call me Cole while we're working." Turner met his eyes. Then act like we're working. The words hung between them. Maddox's face hardened, but Turner did not look away. For the first time, Maddox seemed to realize that Turner was no longer following every instruction without question. He shut down the search. Tomorrow morning, we find out where she goes. Turner frowned. You're going to follow her again? I'm going to find out what she knows. Across town, Maya returned to the apartment and opened the complaint files again. This time she added the motel stop she had just witnessed to the timeline. Maddox, Turner, body camera off. No visible citation. Driver released. She placed the new entry beside the older complaints. The pattern was becoming harder to dismiss. Maya closed the file and looked at the empty space beside Turner's name. Until that night, she had not been sure whether he was frightened, compromised, or willing. Now she knew one thing for certain. Whatever Maddox had built in Bellhaven, he had not built it alone. Maya remained at the kitchen table after closing the complaint files. The apartment was quiet, and the only light came from the lamp beside her laptop. She checked the dashcam recording again, not because she expected the images to change, but because she wanted to know exactly what could be proven and what could not. Maddox's demand for the $5,000 was clear. His threat to use the watch against her was clear. Turner's body camera had gone dark at the exact point when Maddox began discussing the money. The weak point was still the watch. The reflection in the passenger side window showed Maddox reaching into the SUV, but his body blocked the camera from recording the moment he planted the sealed bag. If the recording were challenged by itself, Maddox could claim the watch had already been inside the vehicle. Maya copied the file again and stored the second copy separately. Then she photographed her handwritten notes and saved those as well. She checked the time. It was approaching 11. A vehicle slowed outside the apartment building. Maya looked toward the window but did not move closer. Headlights passed across the blinds and stopped. A few seconds later, the engine shut off. Maya stayed where she was. Downstairs, Maddox sat behind the wheel of the patrol cruiser and looked up at the second-floor windows. Turner remained in the passenger seat. "This is enough," Turner said. Maddox did not look at him. "Enough for what?" "For tonight. We followed her twice. We went to her door. Now we're sitting outside where she's staying. She's collecting something. You don't know that. I know she was at the motel. I know she watched the stop. I know she has a dash camera, and I know her record is restricted." Turner folded his arms. "Maybe the restricted record has nothing to do with us." Maddox finally looked at him. "You believe that?" "I believe we're making this worse." Maddox leaned back against the seat. "What did she see at the motel?" Turner did not answer. "I'm asking you. She saw us make a stop. She saw you turn off your camera." Turner's jaw tightened. "Because you told me to." Maddox turned fully toward him. "You're going to be careful with that sentence. It's true. So is the fact that you did it." Turner looked away. Maddox lowered his voice. "If that video gets to internal affairs, nobody is going to care whether I asked or you volunteered." Your hand turned off the camera. Turner stared through the windshield. Maddox continued. "You think standing next to me makes you a witness? It makes you part of the report." "There is no report." "Exactly." Turner looked back at him. Maddox opened his door. "Stay here." "Where are you going?" "To talk to her." "You already tried that." "I wasn't asking the right questions." Before Turner could respond, Maddox was out of the cruiser. Maya heard the first knock less than a minute later. She closed the laptop but left it on the table. The second knock was louder. Maya Williams. She walked to the door and stopped behind it. "What do you want?" Maddox's voice came through the door. "I need to clarify something." "At 11 o'clock? You're still part of an active inquiry." Maya glanced toward the clock. "Which case number?" Silence. She waited. Maddox spoke again. "Open the door." "No. This doesn't need to become difficult." "Then give me the case number." Maddox's hand tightened at his side. Turner had come upstairs and was now standing several steps behind him. Maya continued. "You told me the watch would disappear. You took $5,000. You created no citation, no property receipt, and no arrest record. Now you're at my temporary residence asking about an active investigation that apparently has no case number." Turner looked at Maddox. Maddox ignored him. "We need the recording from your vehicle. Then request it through the proper process." You already know I can seize evidence. Not without documenting why you seized it. Maddox stared at the closed door. Maya's voice remained steady. If what happened tonight was lawful, put it on paper. Turner shifted his weight. Maddox noticed. He stepped back from the door. This city can become very inconvenient for somebody passing through. Maya answered without hesitation. Then, I suggest you stop making unofficial visits. Maddox's expression hardened. He turned and walked toward the stairwell. Turner followed. When they reached the parking lot, Maddox stopped beside the cruiser. You say one word about tonight, and you're not separating yourself from anything. Turner looked at him. I haven't said anything. That's why you're still useful. Turner's face changed. Maddox opened the driver's door. Turner remained outside. What happens if she already backed up the recording? Maddox paused. She probably did. So what are we doing? Finding out what else she has. Turner did not get into the cruiser immediately. Maddox looked at him over the roof. Get in. After several seconds, Turner did. The cruiser pulled away. Upstairs, Maya watched from behind the blinds until the parking lot was empty again. She returned to the table and reopened the public complaint database. Now she changed the search. Instead of looking only for Maddox's name, she searched for combinations of his name, Turner's name, camera interruptions, roadside contacts, property complaints, and stops near interstate access roads. More files appeared. Some complaints were vague. Others had been closed quickly. One involved a driver who claimed cash disappeared during a vehicle search. Another described an officer threatening to impound a car unless the driver paid an unexplained roadside fee. A third mentioned an item that appeared inside a vehicle during a search and was no longer part of the case after the driver was released. Maya wrote down the dates. She did not assume they were all true. She did not need to. What mattered was that the same names appeared too often beside the same missing pieces. No citation. No arrest. No property receipt. Body camera interruptions. People who lived outside Bellhaven. Maya looked at the map on her screen and marked the locations. Most were close to the interstate. Travelers came through, stayed a night, and left. That made them easy to pressure and difficult to follow up with. She closed the map and checked the dashcam backup one more time. There was still no reason to expose herself. Not yet. Across town, Maddox sat at a police terminal and entered Maya's name again. The basic information appeared. He selected the protected section. Access restricted. He tried another search path. Same result. Turner stood several feet away. Still nothing? Maddox did not answer. He tried one final time and got the same denial. Turner looked at the screen. Maybe whoever she is, you should stop looking. Maddox leaned back slowly. That's exactly why I'm not stopping. He closed the terminal and stood. By morning, he intended to know where Maya went, who she spoke to, and what she was collecting. What he still did not understand was why a woman who had been ordered to leave Bellhaven was preparing to spend another day there. By 6:30 the next morning, Maya was already dressed and out of the apartment. She drove toward downtown Bellhaven and stopped at a small diner across from the municipal complex. The breakfast crowd was beginning to arrive. Most of them older workers, city employees, and drivers starting early shifts. Maya took a booth near the window and ordered eggs, wheat toast, and black coffee. The waitress set down the cup. You need cream, ma'am? No, thank you. You passing through? Maya looked up from the menu. I'll be here for a while. The waitress nodded and moved on. Maya opened a small notebook beside her coffee. She had rewritten the information from the previous night into a simple list. Dates, locations, officer names, body camera gaps, and whether a citation or arrest had followed. The pattern looked more serious in daylight. Several incidents involved people with addresses outside Bellhaven. Most took place near highway exits, motels, gas stations, or convenience stores. None had ended with a significant charge. Several had no citation at all. Maya took a sip of coffee and circled 3 words. No paper trail. After breakfast, she crossed the street to the municipal records office. The lobby had just opened. A clerk behind the counter greeted her. Morning. Good morning. I'd like to review public complaint summaries involving roadside contacts. The clerk pointed toward a row of public terminals. You can search there. Anything older may have a paper copy attached. Thank you. Maya sat down and began with Maddox's name. The first results were familiar. She had already seen several of them the night before, but now she read them in order. A driver from Delaware claimed money was missing after a vehicle search. Maddox reported a verbal warning and no seizure. A contractor from Pennsylvania complained that he had been threatened with towing unless he paid an unexplained fee. The complaint was closed because no financial transaction appeared in the official record. Another traveler reported that personal property had been moved during a search and that cash was missing afterward. No arrest, no citation, no property receipt. Maya checked the accompanying officer names. Turner appeared again. She opened a second search window and entered both names together. More results appeared. Not every complaint involved money. Some described aggressive questioning, unnecessary searches, or officers keeping drivers on the roadside without explaining why. A few were too vague to establish anything useful. Maya did not treat them as proof. She separated allegation from evidence and continued looking for repetition. The strongest pattern was procedural. When Maddox and Turner worked together, some roadside contacts ended with no citation, no arrest, and unusually short written narratives. In several cases, body camera logs showed interruptions during the same period. Maya wrote down the dates. Then she searched locations. A cluster formed around the Western Highway exit. Another appeared near the motel corridor. 2 gas stations showed up more than once. The convenience store from the previous night sat almost directly between them. Maya leaned closer to the screen. These were not random parts of Bellhaven. They were places where travelers stopped briefly and moved on. People buying gas, people staying one night, people getting coffee before returning to the interstate. People unlikely to know which department procedure was normal and which was not. A man at the next terminal stood and gathered his papers. Maya waited until he left before printing the public summaries she needed. The printer produced the pages slowly. She organized them by date. An older clerk passing behind her noticed the stack. That machine still acts like it's 1995. Maya gave a small smile. As long as it prints, that's about all we ask from it. He continued down the aisle. Maya returned to the records. She found another complaint filed 8 months earlier. The driver stated that Maddox had threatened to impound his vehicle over an insurance issue that was later found to be valid. The driver claimed he had paid cash at the roadside to avoid the tow. The department response said there was no record of a fine, fee, seizure, or payment. Maya read Maddox's narrative. Routine contact. Driver advised. No further action. 4 lines. She compared it with another report. Same structure, different date, different driver, nearly the same wording. Maya wrote the phrase down. Routine contact. She searched Turner's reports from the same shifts. His language was less confident, but the result was similar. He rarely contradicted Maddox. He rarely added detail. When Maddox wrote that a driver left voluntarily, Turner's report usually said the same thing. Maya checked the body camera entries for 3 of the incidents. Each contained a gap. One was described as a battery issue, another as an accidental deactivation. The third had no explanation attached. Maya sat back. She now had enough to form a working theory, but not enough to make an accusation beyond the encounter she had personally experienced. That distinction mattered. She gathered the printed summaries and placed them in a plain folder. Outside, morning traffic had increased. City employees were entering the building, carrying coffee, and greeting one another by name. Bellhaven looked ordinary because, for most people, it was. Maya walked to her SUV. Before she reached it, she noticed a patrol cruiser parked across the street. Maddox sat behind the wheel. Turner was beside him. They had found her again. Maya continued walking at the same pace. Inside the cruiser, Turner watched her approach the SUV. She's at Municipal Records now. Maddox kept his eyes on Maya. I can see that. What do you think she's looking for? Wuss. Turner glanced at him. Then maybe there's something to find. Maddox turned slowly. Be careful. I'm asking a question. No. You're starting to sound like somebody who wants distance. Turner looked back toward Maya. Maybe I do. Maddox's expression hardened. You turned off those cameras too. Turner said nothing. Across the street, Maya unlocked her SUV but did not get inside. She looked directly at the cruiser. Maddox knew she had seen them. He opened his door. Turner caught his arm. "What are you doing?" "Talking to her." "You did that last night." Maddox pulled his arm free. "And she's still here." He crossed the street. Maya waited beside her vehicle. Maddox stopped a few feet away. "Busy morning?" "Productive." "What were you doing inside?" "Reading." "About what?" Maya looked toward the municipal building, then back at him. Things people thought nobody would read twice. Maddox's jaw tightened. He lowered his voice. "I told you to leave Bellhaven, and I didn't. You're creating problems for yourself." Maya opened the driver's door. "No, Sergeant. I'm checking whether the problem existed before I arrived." For the first time, Maddox had no immediate answer. Maya got into the SUV and closed the door. Turner watched from across the street as Maddox remained on the sidewalk. When Maddox returned to the cruiser, Turner asked quietly, "What did she mean?" Maddox stared at Maya's SUV as it pulled away. "She means she found something." Turner looked toward the records building. "And if she did?" Maddox started the engine. "Then we find out how much." Maddox waited until Maya's SUV disappeared from the block before pulling away from the curb. He drove 2 streets over, parked behind a row of city vehicles, and opened the department terminal again. Turner watched him enter Maya's name. "You already tried that." "I'm trying something else." Maddox opened a broader personnel and law enforcement database. The basic vehicle information appeared again, followed by her temporary Bellhaven address. When he attempted to open the protected employment section, the same message returned. "Access restricted." He entered his supervisor credentials. Nothing changed. Turner leaned back. "You keep hitting the same wall." Maddox tried another search path using Maya's date of birth from the vehicle record. Another restriction. "That's not normal," he said. "Maybe that's your answer." Maddox looked at him. "My answer to what?" "That you should stop digging." Maddox closed the screen. "People don't get protected records for no reason. Protected doesn't mean dangerous. It means somebody decided not everyone gets to see who she is." Turner shook his head. "And you think following her around town is going to solve that?" "I think she went into municipal records and walked out carrying complaints with our names on them." Turner did not respond. Maddox continued. "She has video from last night. Now she has paperwork. That makes her a problem. She became a problem when you took her money." Maddox turned toward him. Turner held his gaze this time. "That's what happened." Turner said, "You were there. I know. You shut your camera off. Because you told me to." Maddox's expression changed. "Keep saying that and see how much it helps you." Turner looked away. Maddox started the cruiser. "We're going to find out where she goes next." Maya drove 3 blocks from the municipal building before turning into a public parking lot beside a small administrative annex. She carried the folder of complaint summaries inside and spent less than 20 minutes reviewing a directory of public records requests and body camera retention procedures. She did not request confidential material. She did not need to. What she wanted was the process. Which office preserved camera records? How long routine footage remained available? What happened when equipment failures were reported? When she left the building, Maddox was standing beside her SUV. Turner remained near the cruiser. Maya stopped several feet away. Maddox nodded toward the folder in her hand. "You've been busy. So have you. I need the recording from your vehicle." Maya did not move. "For what?" "Evidence related to an active investigation." "Which investigation?" "The one from last night." "The theft case?" "Yes." Maya looked at him calmly. "Give me the case number." Maddox's face tightened. She waited. He said, "I'm making an official request for the recording." "Then document the request." "I don't need you telling me how to do my job." "Then do it." Turner looked toward Maddox. Maya continued. "Write the request. Identify the case. List the reason you believe my dashcam contains evidence. Then tell me where the property receipt from last night is." Maddox stepped closer. "You're trying very hard to make a simple situation complicated." "No. I'm asking you to put your version on paper." Maddox reached for the handcuffs on his belt. He did not remove them completely. He let one side hang from his hand. "You want to keep pushing?" Maya glanced at the cuffs. "Is that part of your evidence request?" Turner lowered his eyes. Maddox stepped closer. "I can detain you while I sort this out." "For what offense?" "Interfering with an investigation." By asking for a case number, Maddox said nothing. Maya looked toward Turner. Officer, did Sergeant Maddox create a report for our contact last night? Turner hesitated. Maddox answered for him. You're speaking to me. Maya kept her eyes on Turner. Was there a report? Turner looked at Maddox, then back at Maya. I haven't seen one. Maddox's jaw tightened. Maya nodded once. Thank you. Don't thank him, Maddox said. Why not? He answered a question. Maddox returned the cuffs to his belt. Maya continued. You claim there was stolen property in my vehicle. You claim there was an active theft investigation. You took no formal statement, issued no citation, logged no property, and produced no case number. Now you want my recording without documenting the request. You've made your point. No. I've asked for yours. Turner looked away to hide his reaction. Maddox lowered his voice. You think knowing a few procedures makes you untouchable? I think procedure exists so people can check what happened after everyone goes home. The words landed harder than Maddox expected. He glanced at the folder under Maya's arm. What did you find in there? Public records. What kind? The kind people filed because they expected someone to read them. Maddox stared at her. You need to be careful. Maya opened the driver's door. You've told me that twice. I mean it. So do I. She got into the SUV and closed the door. Maddox remained beside the vehicle until Maya started the engine. He stepped back only when she pulled out of the parking space. Turner waited until the SUV left before walking over. You threatened to detain her. I reminded her that I could. For asking for a case number. Maddox looked at him. You want to start defending her now? I want to know what our reason was. Our reason for what? For being here. Maddox gave a short laugh. She has evidence. That's not a crime. She's building something. That's not a crime either. Maddox's expression hardened. You're forgetting what happens if she turns that camera over. Turner folded his arms. No. I'm finally thinking about it. Maddox stepped closer. Then, think about your body camera being off. Think about your name on the unit log. Think about every report you signed when you were standing beside me. Turner's face tightened. Maddox continued. You don't get to become clean because you're nervous. I never said I was clean. For several seconds, neither man spoke. Then Turner looked toward the road where Maya had disappeared. What if she already copied the video? Maddox did not answer immediately. She probably did. So why keep chasing her? Because the video isn't the only problem anymore. Turner looked at him. Maddox pointed toward the municipal annex. She's reading complaints. She's comparing stops. She's looking for a pattern. And if there is one? Maddox opened the cruiser door. Then we make sure she never gets enough to prove it. Turner remained where he was. Maddox looked back at him. You coming? Turner got into the passenger seat. But this time, he did not reach for the terminal. A few blocks away, Maya pulled into another public lot and opened the folder on the passenger seat. She marked 3 complaints involving the same motel corridor, 2 involving the same gas station, and 4 in which Maddox and Turner had worked the same shift. Then she wrote one more note beside Turner's name. Still following orders. Starting to question them. Maya left the public lot shortly before noon and drove toward the western side of Bellhaven, where several of the complaints had originated. She had no reason to approach the people who filed them yet. At this stage, she wanted to confirm locations, camera coverage, and whether the official records matched what could still be preserved. Her first stop was a gas station near an interstate exit. One complaint from 6 months earlier claimed that cash had disappeared during a vehicle search there. The department's summary described the encounter as a routine roadside contact that ended without citation. Maya parked near the store and looked around before going inside. A security monitor behind the counter showed several camera angles covering the pumps and parking spaces. Maya asked the clerk how long recordings were normally retained. Depends on storage, he said. Usually a few weeks. Sometimes longer if somebody asks us to save something. Maya nodded. If police request footage, is that documented? Manager handles that. Thank you. She bought a bottle of water and left without asking anything else. Across the street, a patrol cruiser slowed. Maya noticed it immediately. Maddox. He continued past the station rather than pulling in. Turner looked toward the gas pumps. She saw us. I know. You planning to follow her all day? Maddox kept driving. until I know what she's doing. She's checking places from the complaints. Maddox glanced at him. How would you know? Because I saw the folder. Maddox said nothing. Turner continued. If she's going through public records, there's nothing you can do about it. I can find out what she's looking for. You already know. Maddox tightened his grip on the wheel. A few minutes later, Maya drove to the motel corridor. She checked the address on one of the printed complaints before pulling into a parking area near the office. The complaint involved a traveler who claimed he had been threatened with towing unless he paid cash at the roadside. Maddox's report contained only a few lines and no mention of money. The motel still had exterior cameras facing the parking lot. Maya entered the office. "Good afternoon," she said to the desk attendant. "Do your parking lot cameras record continuously?" "Most of them." "How long do you keep the footage?" "Usually 30 days. Maya thanked him. The complaint she was reviewing was far older than that, so the original recording was gone. She had expected as much. What mattered was confirming that Maddox had repeatedly chosen locations where people came and went quickly. She returned to her SUV. The patrol cruiser was parked half a block away. Maya did not react. She drove to another gas station. Maddox followed several minutes later. This time, Turner spoke first. "This is getting obvious." "Then stop looking nervous." "I'm not nervous." "You've been nervous since last night." Turner turned toward him. "Because last night was different." Maddox gave him a cold look. "Different how?" She didn't panic. She asked about procedure. She noticed the camera. She stayed in town. Now she's going through old complaints. Maddox pulled to the curb where he could still see Maya's SUV. Turner continued. "Maybe we should be asking why." "I am asking why." "No. You're asking how to stop her." Maddox looked at him. "You want to know the difference between you and me?" Turner did not answer. "I understand what happens if she gets enough pieces together." "You mean what happens to you?" "To us." Turner's expression changed. Maddox leaned closer. "You keep forgetting that part." "I'm not forgetting anything." "Good. Then remember who turned off the cameras." Turner stared ahead. Maddox watched Maya leave the second gas station. "She's not gathering random complaints anymore," he said. "She's checking locations." So she's looking for a pattern." Turner gave a short breath. "Maybe there is one." Maddox turned toward him slowly. Turner did not take the words back. "How many times?" he asked. Maddox looked away. Turner repeated the question. "How many times have you done this?" Maddox started the engine. "Done what?" "Taken money." Maddox pulled into traffic. Turner waited. Finally, Maddox said, "Less often than people leave cash sitting around where they shouldn't." Turner looked at him in disbelief. "That's your answer?" "That's the only answer you need. You act like they handed it to you. Some of them did. After you threatened them." Maddox's voice hardened. "Watch yourself." Turner looked out the passenger window. "I am." Maya's next stop was the convenience store from the previous night. She parked farther from the entrance this time and studied the exterior of the building before going inside. A camera was mounted above the front doors. Another covered the side of the lot. A third faced the area where her SUV had been parked. Maya looked at that one longer than the others. Inside, she asked the clerk whether the manager was available. "He comes in after lunch. I need to make sure footage from last night isn't overwritten." The clerk looked at her. "Police matter?" "Possibly." "Then the manager will need to handle it." "When will he be here?" "About 1. Maya checked the time. She had less than an hour. Outside, Maddox had pulled into a lot across the road. He saw Maya looking toward the cameras. His expression changed. Turner noticed. "She found something. She found a camera. Same thing if it caught you." Maddox looked toward the store. "We need to know what's on it." Turner shook his head. "And how exactly do you plan to do that?" Maddox did not answer. His department phone sounded. He checked the message. "Mandatory departmental ceremony. All available officers report to headquarters at 2 o'clock. Maddox frowned. Turner read the notification on his own phone. "Looks like we're done following her for a while." Maddox looked at Maya through the windshield. "She'll still be here after." Turner put the phone away. "You keep saying that like it's a problem." Maddox watched Maya enter the convenience store again. "It is." By early afternoon, all 3 of them would be inside Bellhaven Police Headquarters. Only one of them understood what was waiting there. At 1:30 that afternoon, Maddox and Turner returned to Bellhaven Police Headquarters. The main meeting room had already begun to fill with officers from different shifts. Several city officials stood near the front, and a row of chairs had been reserved beside the department seal. Maddox barely noticed any of it. He sat near the back and checked his phone again. The search for Maya Williams still gave him the same limited information. Her vehicle registration was available. Her temporary Bellhaven address was available. Everything that might explain who she was remained restricted. Turner sat beside him. "You're still searching her name?" Maddox locked the screen. "Not anymore. You've been doing it all morning, and I'll keep doing it until I know what she's connected to." Turner looked toward the front of the room. "Maybe you're about to miss whatever this ceremony is for." "I don't care what it's for." "You should." Attendance was mandatory. Maddox leaned back. "New policy announcement. Retirement recognition. Somebody from City Hall wants a photograph. Pick one." Turner said nothing. The room continued filling. Officers greeted one another quietly. A captain asked everyone to take their seats. Maddox looked toward the side entrance, then back at his phone. His thoughts remained on the convenience store cameras. Maya had returned there. She had looked directly at the exterior cameras. If she had secured footage, the situation had changed. The dashcam could prove the demand for money. The store camera might show more. Maddox glanced at Turner. "Did you see exactly where I was standing when I searched her vehicle?" Turner looked at him. "Why?" "Answer the question." "I was near the cruiser. Could the store camera see the passenger side?" Turner understood immediately. "I don't know. You were there." "I wasn't checking security cameras." Maddox lowered his voice. "Think." Turner stared at him for a moment. "I told you. I don't know." Before Maddox could continue, a senior officer approached the podium. "Please take your seats. We're ready to begin." The conversation stopped. Maddox put his phone away. The officer at the podium welcomed representatives from City Hall and thanked department personnel for attending on short notice. Maddox listened, without interest, until he heard the words, "leadership transition." Tane John. His attention shifted forward. Turner noticed. The speaker continued. "As all of you know, the city has completed its selection process for the next chief of police." Maddox frowned. He had seen the internal notice about the incoming chief several days earlier. He remembered the name only vaguely. He had not bothered attending the public city meeting, where the appointment had been discussed, and the department notice had contained no photograph. The side door opened. Maddox looked toward it. Maya Williams walked into the room. She wore the same navy coat Maddox had seen the night before. For several seconds, he did not move. Turner saw her almost immediately afterward. "What the hell?" he whispered. Maddox turned toward him. "Don't." Maya walked toward the front of the room with two city officials. She did not look toward Maddox or Turner. The speaker at the podium smiled. "Please welcome Bellhaven's new chief of police, Maya Williams." The room broke into applause. Maddox remained seated. His face changed as the words registered. Turner slowly stood with everyone else. Maddox followed a second later. He kept his eyes on Maya. The woman he had stopped outside a convenience store was not passing through Bellhaven. The woman whose $5,000 he had taken was not preparing to leave town. She was about to take command of his department. Maya reached the front of the room. She removed her navy coat. Underneath was the formal dress uniform of the Bellhaven chief of police. The insignia was visible on her collar. The badge was fixed over her chest. Turner stared at it. Then he looked at Maddox. Maddox did not look back. The oath began. Maya raised her right hand and repeated each line clearly. Her voice was calm, exactly as it had been when Maddox threatened her the night before. That bothered him more than anger would have. She had known who she was when he planted the watch. She had known who she was when he demanded the money. She had known who she was when Turner shut off his camera, and she had said nothing. The oath ended. Maya signed the required documents and shook hands with the city representative. Then she stepped to the podium. "I know many of you have work waiting, so I'll keep this brief." The room became quiet. "I expect professionalism from this department, and I expect the same from myself. Authority is easiest to respect when it is hardest to abuse." Maddox's jaw tightened. Maya continued. "We will do our jobs carefully, document what we do, and treat the public process as seriously as the result. That is where we'll begin. She stepped back. That was all. No mention of the convenience store. No accusation. No $5,000. No watch. The ceremony moved forward with routine remarks from city officials. Maddox heard almost none of them. Turner leaned slightly toward him. Did she know last night? Maddox kept facing forward. Obviously. Then why didn't she say anything? Maddox did not answer. Turner waited. She could have ended the whole stop by telling you. I know, but she didn't. I know. Turner lowered his voice further. Why? Maddox finally looked at him. That's what worries me. When the ceremony ended, officers began standing and moving toward the exits. Some walked forward to introduce themselves to the new chief. Maddox remained in place. Turner stood beside him. She has the dash cam, Turner said. Maddox said nothing. She probably has the store footage now too. Stop talking. And she was reading complaints this morning. Maddox turned sharply. I said stop talking. Turner held his gaze. Maddox looked toward the front of the room. Maya was speaking with 2 command officers. She showed no interest in him. That made the situation worse. If she had confronted him immediately, he would have known what she intended to use. Instead, Maya was letting the department continue as if nothing had happened. Maddox could not tell what evidence she had preserved, what complaints she had connected, or whether she had already given the dashcam recording to someone outside Bellhaven. He stood. Turner followed him into the hallway. As soon as the meeting room doors closed behind them, Maddox stopped. How much does she have? Turner stared at him. How would I know? You watched her last night. So did you. Maddox stepped closer. The dashcam, the complaints, the store cameras. What else? I don't know. Maddox looked back toward the meeting room. Turner spoke quietly. She's the chief now. Maddox turned back. She's also a witness. To what you did. Maddox stared at him for several seconds. Then he answered. To what we did. Turner's expression tightened. Maddox walked away before Turner could respond. For the first time since the convenience store stop, Turner understood exactly how Maddox intended to survive. If the investigation reached him, Maddox had no intention of going down alone. Maddox left the hallway and headed toward the records wing without waiting for Turner. His pace was faster than usual, but he kept his face controlled whenever another officer passed. Turner followed several steps behind. Sergeant. Maddox kept walking. Cole. That made him stop. He turned. Don't call me that in here. Turner lowered his voice. Then stop acting like none of this happened. Maddox glanced toward the nearby offices. Keep your voice down. You told her the watch would disappear. You took the cash. You made me shut off my camera. Now she's the chief. I'm aware. And you just told me it was something we did. Maddox stepped closer. Because that's exactly how anyone investigating it will see it. Your body camera went dark. Your name is on the unit. You were standing there. I didn't take her money. You stayed. Turner did not answer. Maddox continued. You want to separate yourself now because you're scared. That doesn't change last night. Turner looked down the hallway toward the main administrative offices. What do you think she's going to do? That depends on what she has. She has enough. You don't know that. She has the dashcam. Maddox's expression tightened. And she was at the store asking about cameras. Turner added. Maddox looked at him sharply. Did you hear her request the footage? No. Then stop treating guesses like evidence. Turner almost laughed. That's an interesting thing for you to say. Maddox's face hardened. Before he could respond, a staff member stepped into the hallway and addressed Turner. Officer Turner, the new chief wants all unit camera retention from last night preserved until further notice. Turner looked at Maddox. The staff member continued. Nothing is to be deleted, overwritten, or reclassified without written authorization. Understood, Turner said. The staff member walked away. Maddox remained silent. Turner watched him. Still think she doesn't have enough? Maddox turned and continued toward the records wing. Across the building, Maya entered the chief's office for the first time since the ceremony. The room had been prepared for her arrival, but she did not sit behind the desk immediately. She placed her navy coat over the back of a chair and opened the folder she had carried from municipal records. The dashcam file was no longer only on her personal devices. She had already transferred a preserved copy into an outside review channel that did not depend on her authority as chief of police. Now she prepared the next step. Maya opened a blank administrative form and began writing. She identified herself as the civilian involved in the previous night's encounter. She listed Maddox and Turner by name. She referenced the recorded demand for $5,000, the body camera interruption, and the suspected planted property. Then she added a formal recusal. She would not direct the criminal investigation arising from her own encounter. She would not determine charges. She would not make findings of fact. She would not decide what Maddox or Turner had done. But as chief, she would preserve department records and prevent evidence from disappearing while the matter was transferred outside her direct control. Maya read the document once before signing it. The decision made the case harder for her personally. It also removed the easiest argument Maddox could make. She picked up the office phone. "Records preservation, please." A moment later, someone answered. "This is Chief Williams. Effective immediately. Preserve all body camera metadata, patrol unit GPS records, incident reports, supplemental reports, and access logs involving Sergeant Maddox and Officer Turner from last night. Do not alter classifications. Do not overwrite routine footage. Written confirmation only." She listened. "Yes. Everything stays intact." She ended the call. A few minutes later, Turner received the same preservation instruction electronically. Maddox saw it over his shoulder. "Let me see that." Turner held the device where he could read it. The message was brief. "Preservation hold, do not modify or delete." Maddox looked up. "She's freezing the records. She has authority to do that." "I know what authority she has." Turner put the device away. "Then you know you can't touch anything." Maddox looked toward the records room. Turner saw the calculation immediately. "Don't." Maddox turned back. "Don't what?" "Whatever you're thinking." Maddox gave a short smile. "You suddenly care about procedure?" "I care about not making this worse. It's already worse." "That doesn't mean you keep digging." Maddox stepped closer. "You think she's being careful because she wants fairness? She's building a case. Maybe because there is one." Maddox stared at him. Turner did not take it back. For several seconds, the hallway was quiet. Then Maddox said, "She can't investigate herself. She just removed herself from it." That answer stopped him. Turner continued. "The criminal side goes outside her direct control. She preserves records. Somebody else reviews them." Maddox's eyes narrowed. "Who told you that?" "I can read." Turner showed him the administrative notice attached to the preservation order. Maddox read it. Maya had formally recused herself. He read the line twice. Turner understood why it bothered him. "You wanted to say she was using the badge to settle a personal score." Maddox handed the device back. Turner continued. "Now she isn't. Don't sound impressed." "I'm not impressed. I'm paying attention." Maddox looked toward the closed door of the chief's office. The strategy he had been preparing was already losing value. If Maya personally ordered an investigation, he could attack her motive. If she suspended him publicly after what happened between them, he could claim retaliation. But she had done neither. She had preserved the evidence and removed herself from the criminal decision. Maddox understood systems well enough to recognize the danger. The case no longer needed Maya's authority. It only needed her recording. He walked toward a quiet corner of the hallway and took out his phone. Turner followed. "What are you doing?" "Thinking. That usually involves less typing." Maddox put the phone away. Turner looked at him carefully. "What's the plan now?" Maddox's face had become calm again. Too calm. "We stop worrying about the video." Turner frowned. "Why?" "Because we may not be able to get it." "So what do we do?" Maddox looked toward Maya's office. "If you can't make evidence disappear, you make the person holding it impossible to trust." Turner's expression changed. "What does that mean?" Maddox started walking. Turner caught up beside him. "Cole, what does that mean?" Maddox did not answer. Inside the chief's office, Maya finished signing the preservation order and placed the pen beside the form. Outside, Maddox was already considering how to turn the next official record against her. Maddox waited until the administrative hallway had cleared before entering the records section. Most of the daytime staff were still in the building, but the afternoon ceremony had disrupted normal routines enough that no one paid much attention to a sergeant sitting at a terminal. Turner followed him inside. You heard the preservation order. Maddox logged in. I heard it. Then why are we here? I'm checking my own reports. Turner stood behind him. That's not what she ordered. She ordered nobody to delete anything. She said not to modify records. Maddox opened an incident report from 3 months earlier. I'm not deleting anything. He selected the supplemental narrative field. Turner stared at the screen. Don't do this. Maddox began typing. The original entry described a brief roadside contact near a highway exit. Maddox added language stating that the driver had been advised of a possible equipment violation and had voluntarily ended the conversation after providing identification. The change was small. That was the point. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that immediately looked fabricated. Turner moved closer. That wasn't in the report before. It should have been. You're changing it after a preservation order. I'm clarifying it. Months later, Maddox saved the entry. Then he opened another. This report contained a body camera interruption during a motel stop. Maddox added a sentence stating that the camera had temporarily shut down because of an equipment issue. Turner looked at him. There was no equipment issue. Maddox continued typing. You don't know that. I was there. Then you remember the camera going off. I remember turning it off. Maddox stopped typing. Turner immediately knew he had crossed another line. Maddox turned in the chair. Lower your voice. It's the truth. The truth is whatever survives review. No. The record is what survives. Review. Maddox gave him a hard look. Same difference if nobody can prove otherwise. Turner did not answer. Maddox finished the sentence and opened a third report. This one has your name on it. Turner looked at the screen. A roadside contact from 5 months earlier. He remembered enough to know the report was incomplete. Maddox slid the keyboard toward him. Add that the contact ended voluntarily. Turner did not sit down. You already wrote that. I want you to confirm it. I'm not signing anything new. Maddox leaned back. You signed the others. That was before today. Maddox's expression changed. Before today? Turner held his gaze. Yes. Maddox stood. You think a new chief changes what you've done? No. Good. Because every camera you shut off still has your name on it. Turner looked at the open report. Maddox pushed the keyboard closer. Sign it. Turner remained still. A phone rang somewhere in the outer office. Neither man moved. Finally, Turner said, I'm not touching that report. Maddox stared at him for several seconds, then pulled the keyboard back. Fine. He saved the file under his own credentials. Turner shook his head. You're leaving a trail. Maddox closed the window. Only if somebody knows what they're looking for. Across town, Maya parked at the convenience store where the encounter had begun. It was late afternoon now, and the manager was behind the counter. Maya introduced herself, only by name. I need footage preserved from last night. The manager glanced toward the camera monitor. Police request? It may become one. What time? Maya gave him the window. He entered the security system and opened the exterior cameras. The first angle showed the parking lot. The second covered the store entrance. The third faced the row, where Maya's SUV had been parked. Maya leaned closer. Start a few minutes earlier. The manager adjusted the time. The footage showed Maya returning to the SUV. Then, Maddox and Turner entered the frame. There was no audio. Maya watched Maddox approach the passenger side. He opened the door. His body blocked part of the view. For a moment, Maya thought the camera had the same problem as the dashcam. Then Maddox shifted his arm. The sealed evidence bag became visible in his hand before he leaned into the vehicle. Maya did not react. Pause there. The manager froze the frame. The watch was already in Maddox's possession. Can you preserve this entire section without altering the original? Yes. I need the full period. Not just this frame. The manager nodded. I can lock the file so it isn't overwritten. Do that. He completed the retention process and wrote down the file reference. Maya watched the footage once more. Several minutes later, the store entrance opened. Maddox walked in. Turner was behind him. Maya turned from the monitor. Maddox stopped when he saw her. His eyes moved from Maya to the security screen. The manager looked between them. Sergeant, can I help you? Maddox kept his attention on the monitor. I need footage from last night. The manager nodded toward the computer. It's already been preserved. Maddox looked at Maya. By whose request? The manager answered before she could. Miss Williams asked us to hold it. I haven't released anything. Maddox stepped closer to the counter. I'll take a copy. Maya spoke calmly. Put the request in writing. Maddox looked at her. The manager stayed quiet. Maya continued. Case number, reason for collection, officer name, time of transfer. Maddox's jaw tightened. You don't run this store. No, but you still need a chain of custody. Turner looked at the frozen image on the monitor. He could see the evidence bag in Maddox's hand. He looked away. Maddox noticed. Turner met his eyes. Maddox understood from his expression that there was no point pretending the footage showed something else. He turned back to Maya. You think that camera proves what happened? No. Maddox almost smiled. Maya continued. It proves one part. His smile disappeared. Maya took the written preservation reference from the manager and placed it inside her folder. Maddox watched her do it. He could no longer erase the dash cam. He could no longer erase the store footage. And the reports he had just modified were now sitting inside a system already under preservation. Turner followed him outside. When they reached the cruiser, Maddox stopped beside the driver's door. We're done chasing the video. Turner looked at him. Why? Because she already moved it beyond us. Then, what now? Maddox looked back through the store window at Maya. If we can't get rid of the evidence, we make sure nobody trusts the person presenting it. By early evening, most of the administrative offices inside Bellhaven Police Headquarters had emptied. The records wing was quiet, except for the low sound of printers and the occasional phone ringing in another room. Maddox sat alone at a terminal with a paper cup of coffee beside him. He had not touched it in nearly an hour. The footage from the convenience store had changed everything. Maya now had video showing the sealed watch in his hand before it appeared inside her SUV. She also had the dashcam recording of the demand for $5,000 and access to public complaints that pointed toward earlier stops. Maddox knew he could no longer depend on missing reports. He needed another problem to exist beside his own. He opened the property system and searched through recent evidence entries. After several minutes, he found a cash seizure from an unrelated case that had not yet been transferred out of temporary department custody. $5,000. Maddox stared at the amount. Then he began working. He printed a property voucher and changed the identifying information. The original case number disappeared from the copy. In its place, he entered an administrative reference connected to the chief's office. He adjusted the date, then the time. After that, he printed a chain of custody form. His plan did not require anyone to believe Maya had already been convicted of stealing evidence. It only required enough confusion to force an investigation into her conduct. If $5,000 from department evidence appeared in a location under Chief Williams's control, accompanied by paperwork suggesting she had handled it without proper authorization, the department would have no choice but to ask questions. Her first week as chief could become an internal scandal before it had properly started. More importantly, every accusation she made against Maddox would immediately become harder to separate from her own problem. He took another sip of the cold coffee and continued altering the forms. The door behind him opened. Turner walked in. Maddox minimized the screen. Turner stopped near the doorway. What are you doing? Finishing paperwork. At this hour? You suddenly keeping track of my schedule? Turner walked closer. Several sheets of paper were spread beside the keyboard. He recognized the property voucher first. What's that? Nothing you need to worry about. Turner picked up the top sheet before Maddox could stop him. He read the amount, $5,000. Then he saw the administrative reference. His eyes moved back to Maddox. What is this? Maddox held out his hand. Give it back. Turner did not. This money isn't connected to Williams. Not yet. Turner looked down at the form again. The meaning became clear. You're framing her. Maddox stood. Lower your voice. You're creating a false evidence trail. I'm creating doubt. Turner stared at him. Maddox reached for the paper, but Turner pulled it back. She didn't take this money. That's not the point. Then what is the point? The point is that right now she has a clean story. She's the new chief. She has a video. She has another camera angle. She has complaints with my name on them. Our names? Maddox gave a small nod. Good. At least you still understand that. Turner looked at the altered voucher again. So your answer is to plant evidence against her? My answer is to make sure the city has a reason to question her. That's framing her. Call it whatever makes you feel better. Turner put the paper on the desk. You've lost your mind. Maddox's expression hardened. Be careful. No. You be careful. You took $5,000 from her because you thought she was some traveler who would leave town. Now you find out she's the chief, and instead of stopping, you're making fake records. Maddox stepped closer. You think stopping fixes anything? It stops this. It does nothing about last night. Turner said nothing. Maddox pointed toward him. Your camera went dark. Your name is on the unit log. You stood beside me while I searched the vehicle. I didn't plant the watch. You watched it happen. Turner's face tightened. Maddox continued. You watched every other time too. That doesn't make this right. No. It makes you involved. Turner looked toward the doorway as if considering whether to leave. Maddox saw it. You walk out now and decide you want to talk. What do you think happens? Turner turned back. You think Chief Williams gives you a medal? You think she forgets the cameras you shut off and the reports you signed? I'm not asking her to forget anything. Then what are you asking for? Turner did not answer. Maddox picked up the altered chain of custody form. I know what happens if this collapses. So do you. He opened a locked cabinet and removed a temporary evidence envelope. Inside was the cash he had arranged to access through the property system. Turner watched him place the $5,000 on the desk. Maddox counted it. Then he put the bills into a clean evidence packet. Turner shook his head slowly. Don't do this. Maddox sealed the packet. It's already done. No, it isn't. Maddox slid the packet across the desk. Turner looked at it but did not touch it. What do you want me to do? Place it in the administrative file storage outside the chief's office. Turner looked up sharply. You want me to plant it? I want it found. I'm not doing that. Maddox leaned forward and lowered his voice. You already did the hard part, Eli. Turner's expression changed when Maddox used his first name. You shut the cameras off. You signed the reports. You stood there while people paid. Don't pretend one envelope is where your conscience suddenly begins. Turner stared at him. Maddox pushed the packet closer. If I go down, every stop gets reviewed. Every camera gap gets pulled. Every report gets compared. Your name is sitting beside mine. Turner looked at the packet. So that's your plan? Make sure I'm too scared to say anything? My plan is for both of us to survive. Turner's voice dropped. By destroying her? By giving people another version of the story. Turner looked at Maddox for several seconds. Then he picked up the packet. Maddox relaxed slightly. Good. Turner turned it over in his hands and read the false property number. When? Tonight. Before the building fills up tomorrow. Turner nodded once, but his face gave Maddox no reassurance. He walked toward the door. Maddox called after him. Eli. Turner stopped. Don't get confused about where you stand. Turner looked back. For the first time, he did not appear frightened. He looked tired. I think I'm finally getting clear about that. Then he left the room carrying the $5,000 Maddox wanted used to destroy Maya Williams. Turner stepped into the hallway with the evidence packet in his hand and stopped outside the records wing. The building had grown quieter. Most administrative employees had gone home, and only a few offices still had lights on. He looked down at the packet. $5,000, a false property number, a chain of custody form built to make the money appear connected to Maya's office. Everything Maddox needed was inside it except one thing. Someone willing to place it where it could be found. Turner started walking. He knew exactly where Maddox wanted the packet left. A small administrative storage area sat near the chief's office, used for documents waiting to be routed the next morning. If the envelope appeared there with Maya's office reference on the paperwork, it would be easy to suggest that she had handled the money improperly. Maddox did not need a perfect case. He only needed suspicion. Turner passed the elevators and continued down the hall. His pace slowed. Behind him, the records room door opened. Maddox stepped out. Keep moving. Turner did not turn around. I am. Then don't stop. Turner continued. Maddox followed at a distance. The hallway ahead divided near the administrative offices. The left side led toward the storage area. The right led toward the chief's office. Turner knew Maddox was watching. He reached the intersection and stopped. Eli, Turner closed his eyes for a second. Maddox's voice came again. Left. Turner looked toward the storage area. The door was less than 30 feet away. He could walk inside, place the packet where Maddox had instructed, and leave. By morning, someone might find it. Questions would begin. Maya could be placed under immediate administrative review. Everything she had gathered against Maddox would suddenly be examined beside an accusation against her. Turner looked at the packet again. Maddox walked closer. What are you waiting for? Turner turned around. You really think this saves us? Maddox stopped several feet away. It gives us room. To do what? To survive long enough to control the story. Turner shook his head. You already tried controlling the story. And it worked for years. That's your defense. It's reality. Turner looked down the hallway toward the chief's office. Maddox noticed. His voice hardened. Don't. Turner looked back at him. Maddox stepped closer. You put that envelope where I told you. And tomorrow we deal with whatever comes next. And if I don't? Maddox stared at him. You know exactly what happens. No. Say it. Maddox lowered his voice. Every body camera shutdown gets reviewed. Every roadside contact. Every report you signed. Every time you stood beside me and said nothing. Turner nodded slowly. That happens anyway if this comes out. Not if we stay ahead of it. Turner gave a tired laugh. There is no ahead anymore. There is if people start questioning her before they start questioning us. That's what this is? Maddox pointed toward the packet. That is leverage. No. That's another lie. Maddox's expression tightened. You think what you're doing now makes you different from me? Turner did not answer. You shut cameras off when I told you. You signed reports. You watched people leave without asking where their money went. Don't stand there pretending you suddenly found a conscience. Turner looked at him. I'm not pretending I'm innocent. Then act like you understand what's at stake. I do. Maddox waited. Turner continued. That's the problem. For the first time, Maddox seemed uncertain. Turner looked again toward the left hallway. The storage room door remained closed. He could still place the packet there. No one was stopping him. He thought about the reports he had signed, but he did not revisit old scenes or search for excuses. Those records existed. His name was already on them. That could not be changed. The only decision available to him was the one in his hand. Maddox spoke more quietly. Eli, listen to me. She is not going to protect you. I know. She'll use your statement and then let you take the fall. Maybe. Then, why would you help her? Turner looked at the packet. I'm not helping her. Maddox frowned. Turner met his eyes. I'm stopping you. Maddox took a step forward. Turner immediately raised one hand. Don't. Maddox stopped. There was no physical threat in Turner's voice. It was simply the first direct order he had given Maddox since the situation began. Maddox stared at him. Turner turned away. He took one step toward the left hallway. Maddox relaxed slightly. Then Turner stopped again. He looked at the storage room door. He looked toward the chief's office. Maddox understood a second before Turner moved. Eli. Turner turned right. Turner. He kept walking. Maddox followed. Stop. Turner did not. You walk into that office and you're finished. Turner continued toward Maya's door. Maddox's voice became sharper. You hear me? Turner stopped outside the office. Maddox was now only a few yards behind him. Turner turned. You said I was already part of this. You are. Then I get to decide what I do next. You don't get to rewrite what happened. I'm not trying to. Maddox looked at the packet. Give me the envelope. Turner held it against his side. No. Maddox's face changed. Until that moment, he had still believed fear would bring Turner back into line. It had always worked before. A reminder about his career. A reminder about the reports. A reminder that silence was safer than honesty. This time it did not. Maddox took another step. If you open that door, everything you've done comes out. Turner nodded. I know. You lose the badge. Maybe. You could be charged. I know. Maddox stared at him. Turner looked toward Maya's office. There was light under the door. He raised his hand. Maddox spoke one final time. Think about what you're doing. Turner looked back. That's the first useful thing you've said to me all night. He knocked. There was a short pause. Then Maya's voice came from inside. Come in. Turner opened the door. Maddox remained in the hallway. He watched Turner step inside carrying the packet that was supposed to destroy Maya. The door closed between them. For several seconds, Maddox did not move. Then he looked toward the records wing. Whatever Turner was about to say could not be unsaid. If Maddox wanted any chance of controlling what happened next, he would have to create a record before Turner created one of his own. Turner entered Maya's office and closed the door behind him. He remained near the entrance for a moment, still holding the evidence packet. Maya was seated behind the desk with several preservation forms open in front of her. She looked at the packet, then at Turner. "What is that?" Turner walked forward and placed it on the clear corner of the desk without pushing it toward her. "Don't touch it." Maya's expression remained controlled. "Why?" "Because Maddox wants it found in your area." She looked down at the sealed packet. "What's inside?" $5,000. Maya did not reach for it. Turner continued. "It came from another evidence source. The paperwork was changed to make it look like it passed through your office." Maya glanced at the property voucher attached to the front. "Who prepared this?" Turner hesitated. Maya looked up. "Officer Turner, you walked into this office carrying planted evidence. If you're going to tell me what happened, tell me all of it." "Maddox prepared it." "When?" "Tonight." "Did you help him?" "No." Maya waited. Turner looked away. She said, "That wasn't the whole question." Turner exhaled slowly. "Not with this packet." Maya remained silent. He understood what she was asking. "I shut off my body camera last night." "I know. It wasn't the first time." Maya's eyes stayed on him. Turner pulled a chair away from the desk but did not sit. Maddox figured out a long time ago which stops were easy to keep off the books. Travelers, people staying at motels, drivers coming off the interstate. Somebody who would rather pay money and leave than spend another day in Bellhaven arguing with a police department. How did he choose them? Mostly opportunity. Somebody alone. Somebody unfamiliar with the city. Somebody with cash, where he could see it. And the watch? Turner looked at the packet. He's used property before. Stolen property? Sometimes something already reported missing. Sometimes something from another situation that hadn't been processed yet. He didn't always plant it. Most of the time, he just threatened towing, searches, or some kind of charge. The point was to give people a reason to pay. Maya's voice remained even. "And you?" "I stood there." "You did more than stand there." Turner nodded. "Yes." "How many cameras did you turn off?" "I don't know." Maya let the answer sit. Turner continued before she could ask again. "Sometimes he told me the battery was acting up. Sometimes he just looked at me, like last night. After a while, I knew what he wanted." "You wrote reports?" "Yes." "False reports?" "They left things out." "That isn't what I asked." Turner finally sat. "Yes, some were false." Maya folded her hands on the desk. "How many times did you see him take money?" Turner stared at the floor. "I don't know exactly anymore." Maya watched him for several seconds. The answer did not sound like uncertainty. It sounded like repetition. Turner rubbed his palms together and looked toward the door. He kept the reports short. Verbal warning. Community contact. Driver left voluntarily. If nothing was seized and nobody was arrested, there wasn't much for anyone to compare later. And if someone complained, he said the same thing every time. There was no record of money, so it became their word against ours. "Ours?" Turner nodded. "That's how he talked about it." Maya looked toward the packet again. "And tonight, he decided to use the same system against me. He knows you preserve the videos. He knows the store camera shows the watch in his hand. He can't get rid of those anymore. So he needs another story." "Yes." Turner leaned forward. "If that money gets found near your office with those forms, you get investigated. Maybe suspended while somebody sorts it out. Then anything you say about him looks like retaliation." Maya studied him. "You understood all of that when you took the packet from him." "Yes." "And you still carried it down the hall." Turner's face tightened. "I didn't know what I was going to do." "But you took it." "Yes." "You could have put it where he told you." "Yes." Maya did not soften her voice. "Then understand something. Walking through this door does not erase what happened before it." "I know." "Do you?" Turner looked directly at her. "I'm not here asking you to protect me." "Good. I'm trying to help you." Maya shook her head once. "No. Don't make this about helping me. Turner went quiet. You have spent an unknown number of stops helping Sergeant Maddox hide what he was doing. Tonight he asked you to manufacture a case against the chief of police, and that finally brought you here. If you want this stopped, then tell the truth because it is the truth, not because you think it puts you on my side. Turner swallowed. What happens if I do? That isn't a question I can answer for you. My badge? I'm not promising you a badge. Charges? I'm not promising you protection from those either. Turner looked down at his hands. Maya opened a blank statement form. If you want to leave, leave now. The packet stays where it is, untouched, and I document how it arrived. Turner looked at the form. And if I stay? You put your name on everything you just told me. He did not answer. Maya slid the form across the desk but stopped before it reached the packet. Your choice. Turner picked up the pen. For several seconds, he stared at the first blank line. Then he wrote his full name. Maya did not interrupt while he documented the body camera shutdowns, the incomplete reports, the cash demands, the use of travelers, and Maddox's attempt to plant $5,000 near the chief's office. When Turner finished, he read the statement from beginning to end. Then he signed it. Maya looked at the signature. Once this is preserved, you don't get to take it back, because the consequences become uncomfortable. I understand. Do you need to change anything? Turner shook his head. No. Maya took the form without touching the evidence packet and placed the statement in a separate folder. Turner stood. What happens now? Now, the statement gets preserved with everything else. He moved toward the door. Maya stopped him. Officer Turner. He turned. You did one thing correctly tonight. Turner waited. That does not make the other things disappear. I know. This time Maya believed he understood. Turner opened the door and stepped into the hallway. Maddox was no longer there. At the far end of the building, a records terminal had just accepted his login. Maddox opened a supplemental incident form and entered Maya's name. His first version was too direct, so he deleted it and started again. He needed the report to look routine enough to survive an initial review while creating a question that would be difficult to ignore. He wrote that earlier in the evening he had observed irregular handling of cash evidence connected to the chief's administrative area. He added that Officer Turner had been present nearby and might have relevant information. Then, he checked the system clock. Turner's statement had not yet appeared in the records queue. Maddox typed faster. If his report entered the system first, he could later argue that Turner had changed his story only after speaking privately with Maya. The timing would not prove Maddox was right, but it could create doubt about everyone else. He submitted the supplemental report. The screen confirmed the timestamp. Maddox stared at it for a moment, then opened another file and adjusted a line from an older roadside contact. He did not notice the preservation notification that appeared in the corner of the screen. Every change was now being copied into an audit log. Inside the chief's office, Maya received an automatic alert. She opened it. Sergeant Cole Maddox had accessed a preserved record after the hold had been issued. A second alert followed, then a third. Maya immediately called the records desk. This is Chief Williams. Lock the active records Maddox is accessing. Preserve the audit trail exactly as it stands. She listened. No deletions. No corrections. I want the original entries, the changes, the usernames, and the timestamps. She ended the call and opened Turner's signed statement again. The timeline was tightening. The dashcam established the demand for money. The convenience store footage showed the watch in Maddox's hand before he claimed to find it. The body camera metadata showed Turner shutting his camera off. The fake evidence packet showed an attempt to frame Maya. Now Maddox was modifying records after a preservation order had already been issued. Turner appeared at the doorway. He's in records. I know. He's probably trying to get something filed before my statement. He already did. Turner stepped inside. What did he file? A supplemental allegation involving evidence, money, and my office. Turner closed his eyes briefly. That's exactly what he said he was going to do. Maya stood. Then we preserve it. You're not going to remove it? No. Turner looked surprised. If he entered it, Maya said, it stays. So does the record showing when he entered it. They walked toward the evidence administration section. Turner kept his voice low. He's going to know I signed. He already knows you came into my office. That's not the same thing. No, it isn't. They reached the secure records corridor just as Maddox stepped out of the terminal room. He saw Turner beside Maya. His expression changed immediately. What did you tell her? Turner stopped. Maya said nothing. Maddox ignored her and focused on Turner. What did you tell her? The truth. Maddox gave a short, humorless laugh. You have no idea what you just did. I know exactly what I did. You ended your career. Turner held his gaze. Maybe it ended the first time I turned off a camera for you. Maddox's face tightened. He looked at Maya. Chief, I have concerns about evidence handling that I've documented through the proper system. I saw your report. Then you understand there are questions about your conduct too. I understand when you submitted it. Maddox paused. Maya continued. I also understand which preserved files you accessed before and after you submitted it. For the first time, Maddox looked toward the records room. Turner saw the uncertainty. Maddox recovered quickly. I was clarifying my reports. After a preservation hold, I'm entitled to correct incomplete information. You're entitled to explain changes. You are not entitled to make them disappear. I didn't delete anything. No, Maya said. You left more. Maddox stared at her. A records supervisor appeared at the far end of the corridor but remained outside the conversation after receiving a gesture from Maya. Maddox turned toward Turner again. Walk away. Turner did not move. Right now, Maddox said. You can still say you misunderstood what you saw. Turner shook his head. Maddox stepped closer. She is not going to protect you. Maya answered before Turner could. He is not entitled to protection from what he did. Turner looked at her. Maya continued. Neither are you. Maddox's hand moved toward the handcuffs on his belt. He removed them, but kept them closed in one hand. Turner stiffened. Maya remained where she was. Put them away, Sergeant. Maddox looked at her. You think this badge makes you right? No. You think becoming chief yesterday means you understand this department? No. You could have told me who you were that night. Maya's expression did not change. If you had known, would you have put the watch in my vehicle? Maddox said nothing. Maya waited. Turner watched him. Maya repeated the question. Would you have done it if you knew I was going to be your chief? Maddox's silence answered for him. Maya nodded once. Then my identity was never the issue. Maddox looked away. Maya stepped toward the evidence desk. Your access to department records is being suspended pending independent review. Your equipment will be secured according to procedure. You can't do that while you're personally involved. I recused myself from the criminal investigation. I did not surrender my obligation to protect department records from interference. Maddox turned toward the nearest terminal and entered his credentials. The screen processed the request. Then a message appeared. Access revoked. Maddox tried again. The same message returned. He looked at Maya. She did not react. The records supervisor approached with an equipment receipt. Maddox slowly removed his badge. He placed it on the counter, then his radio, then the handcuffs still in his hand. Finally, he removed the baton from his belt and laid it beside the other equipment. Turner watched without speaking. Maddox looked at him. Come with me. Turner stayed where he was. Maddox's voice hardened. Turner. No. It was the first time Turner had refused him without hesitation. The supervisor began documenting each item. Maya checked the evidence packet. Its seal remained intact. She checked Turner's statement. Preserved. She checked the access logs. Preserved. Nothing depended on a single recording anymore. Maddox had spent years relying on missing reports, silent cameras, and people who left Bellhaven without returning. Now every attempt he made to protect himself had created another record. He looked once more at the dark terminal screen. For the first time, the system was no longer something he could control. By 7 the next morning, Bellhaven Police Headquarters had returned to its usual weekday rhythm, but the records connected to Maddox were no longer moving through the usual channels. His access had been suspended. His equipment had been secured. The dashcam recording, convenience store footage, body camera metadata, altered reports, access logs, Turner's statement, and the false evidence packet had all been transferred for independent review. Maya arrived before most of the administrative staff. She wore the same navy coat she had worn the night Maddox stopped her. There was no ceremony this time, no city officials, no applause. She entered through the main doors, acknowledged the desk officer with a quiet "morning," and continued toward the administrative wing. The first notice waiting for her concerned Turner. He had been placed on administrative suspension pending review of his conduct. His cooperation had been documented, but so had his admission that he had intentionally deactivated body cameras and signed inaccurate reports. Maya read the notice twice before signing acknowledgement. Turner had finally told the truth. That did not erase what he had helped conceal. A second notice confirmed that Maddox had been removed from active duty and that the matter had been referred outside the department for criminal review. The allegations listed were serious: extortion, theft, planting stolen property, falsification of official records, obstruction, and attempted fabrication of evidence against a public official. Maya did not add anything to the document. She did not need to. The evidence already said enough. At 8 to 10, Turner arrived to complete the administrative portion of his suspension. He wore civilian clothes. Maya saw him through the glass wall of the administrative office but did not call him in immediately. Turner signed several forms, surrendered his department identification, and waited while his personal belongings were released from his desk. When he finally stepped into the hallway, he saw Maya standing near the records office. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Turner said, "Morning, Chief." "Morning, Officer Turner." He looked down at the envelope containing his personal items. "I guess officer may not last much longer. That won't be my decision." "I know." Maya studied him. Turner looked exhausted, but the fear that had followed him through the previous night was gone. He said, "They told me my statement was accepted into the independent file." "It was. And the old stops? Being reviewed?" Turner nodded. He looked toward the records section. "How many?" "We don't know yet." "That bad?" "We'll know when the records are compared." Turner was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I should have said something sooner." Maya did not comfort him. "Yes." Turner accepted the answer. "I kept thinking if I wasn't the one taking the money, I wasn't the one doing it." Maya looked at him directly. "And now? Now I know the cameras didn't shut themselves off." Maya nodded once. Turner adjusted the envelope under his arm. "Whatever happens, I meant what I signed. Then keep meaning it when somebody asks you again, under oath." "I will." He started toward the exit, then stopped. "Chief." Maya waited. "Thank you for not promising me anything." Maya's expression remained steady. "You didn't need a promise. You needed to decide whether you were going to tell the truth." Turner nodded and left the building. Maya watched the doors close behind him. A few minutes later, she returned to her office and found a new file waiting on her desk. Prior complaints reopened. She opened it. The first complaint was from a driver who had claimed cash disappeared during a roadside search. The second described an unexplained payment demanded near a motel. The third involved a towing threat. The fourth described property appearing during a vehicle search and then disappearing from the official record. There were more. Some would prove unrelated. Some might never be fully established, but they would no longer be dismissed simply because the original reports contained too little information. The review would compare body camera interruptions, patrol unit locations, officer schedules, complaint dates, and changes made to department records. For the first time, those missing pieces would be examined together. Another document sat beneath the complaint file: property recovery and evidence hold. Maya read the amount: $5,000. Her $5,000 had been located and secured as evidence. It would not be returned immediately. The money was now part of the case. That did not bother her. The night before, Maddox had treated the cash as something that could disappear because no one with authority would ask where it went. Now every bill had a documented location. Maya signed the acknowledgement and placed it back in the folder. She spent the rest of the morning reviewing ordinary department work: staffing, patrol coverage, vehicle maintenance, budget requests. Nothing dramatic. That mattered too. A police department could not stop functioning because one sergeant had abused his position. Hundreds of routine decisions still had to be made correctly by people who had nothing to do with Maddox. Near noon, Maya walked through the records wing. Maddox's desk was empty. His locker had been sealed, pending the independent search. Turner's desk was also empty, though for a different reason. Maya stopped briefly between them. One man had spent years using another officer's silence as protection. The other had finally broken that silence, only after becoming part of the damage himself. Neither desk offered an easy answer. Maya continued walking. When she reached her office, she closed the door behind her. For the first time since arriving in Bellhaven, the room was completely quiet. She removed the navy coat and hung it on the hook beside the door. The chief's uniform underneath was no longer hidden. There was no audience to see it. Maya walked to the desk. The property receipt remained on one side, $5,000 secured as evidence. The reopened complaint file rested beside it. She placed both documents into separate folders and sat down. The phone rang. Maya looked at it for a moment before picking up. Chief Williams. She listened. Then she reached for a pen and opened a fresh page on the legal pad in front of her. Outside her office, Bellhaven continued through an ordinary workday. Inside, Maya began the next one. The lesson from Maya Williams's story is simple. Real integrity is revealed when power can be abused without anyone watching. Maddox believed silence, missing paperwork, and fear could protect him forever. Turner learned that staying silent does not make a person innocent when that silence allows wrongdoing to continue. And Maya showed that justice is strongest when it is built on evidence, patience, and accountability, instead of revenge. Thank you for staying with us all the way to the end of this story. Your time and attention truly mean a lot to this channel. We would also love to hear your thoughts. Did you enjoy the way this story was told? Was the pacing easy to follow? Were there any moments you found especially powerful? Or anything you think we could tell more clearly in future stories? Please share your feedback in the comments. And if you have a true story, a family story, or an unforgettable experience involving courage, injustice, betrayal, loyalty, or justice finally being served, feel free to share it with the channel. Your story may inspire a future episode and help another listener feel that the truth is still worth telling. This video is a work of fiction created with the assistance of artificial intelligence. All characters, events, and situations are not real and do not represent any actual people or true stories. The content is intended for storytelling and emotional illustration only.